Okay, so let's assume that you have a trading system, and a trading system. Rather, before go down that road, I just want to say, many years ago, when I was working within the IT security industry, we used to do a lot of work for lotteries, so national lotteries. And one of my primary contact persons, her husband was director for a casino, the biggest casino in one of the capitals in Scandinavia. And because of my relationship to my contact person, she asked if I could come down and spend an evening with her husband while he talked me through the process of maintaining an edge at the casino, because this is something that fascinated me. And so I went down to the casino, and I hung out with this guy, and he was a very interesting person. He was very open with me, and he told me many things that night, things that actually stuck with me. And one of the things that he told me, which was quite surprising, was that they invested a significant amount of money in ensuring the randomness of their roulette wheels. And they said without a high degree of randomness of each outcome of a spin of the roulette wheel, they could potentially lose money. And I thought to myself, well, how on earth are they making money then if they are dependent on a very high degree of entropy? And so I didn't know anything about roulette at the time, so I asked him about the rules of the roulette, and then he told me that you have the black and you have the red. And so this is kind of the 50-50. Like, you have a coin flip, you flip the coin. It's a 50% probability that it'll land on black, and there's about a 50% probability that it's going to land on red. But there is an edge. There are other parts of the wheel that if the ball lands on that wheel, then the house wins. And so this is where the edge becomes visible. Okay, and I asked him, I said, when does this edge become visible? And he said, well, you have to ensure an incredibly high number of roulette wheel spins in order to visibly see the edge playing out. And it's a long time ago, I think he said about 4 to 5,000 spins. And after about 4 to 5,000 spins of the roulette wheel, then their edge would become visible. And this edge was between 3 and 5%, which is remarkable. Okay, so they're having 4,000 to 5,000 spins. I'm not sure how many times a roulette wheel spins during the course of a casino day, but I can imagine it's many, many times if they're busy. And so this edge becomes very visible very quickly. Okay, so this edge, I mean, this can be transferred directly to trading, where you have your edge. So you have your trading system, which gives you an edge. It can be supply and demand, it can be moving average crossover, it can be currency strength, it can be whatever. Okay, it can be overbought, oversold. I mean, whatever. There are thousands of different kinds of edges that you can apply to a market to give you some kind of a perceived edge. Okay, and so when you have this, you just have to ensure that you have this sample size, which for them would be 4 to 5,000 spins. And I'm not sure what it would be for a trading system, but you would have to ensure that you were taking the trades over and over and over again. And so this leads me to the concept of fear. So let's assume now that you know your edge, you apply your edge, and you lose the trade. Okay, so you get up, you have a look, you say the edge is validating a trade, you take the trade, you take another loss, and then fear sets in. And then you say to yourself, oh, I don't know if I want to take this trade. Even though I'm supposed to be taking the trade, I'm not going to take it because the last 2 trades were losers, and so I'm not going to take this one. So you wait aside, you step aside, and you let the trade play out without engaging the market. Then you realize that that trade would have actually been a winner. Imagine doing the same thing in the casino. Imagine my friend, he was at the casino, who was standing next to the roulette wheel, and he said, oh wow, we lost that spin, let's not take the next spin, because if we do, we could lose, because the last 2 spins were losers, and then that would potentially be the one that would have won. Okay, and so you have to see that if you have an edge, you have to apply the edge, and you can't interfere because of fear. Okay, because this is very, very detrimental to the probabilistic trading, the probabilities of your edge playing out. Okay, so you need to apply this every single time. Every time a trade is qualified, you have to leave it. You have to let it play out. And I'm just about finished with a book by a remarkable individual, a gentleman named Jim Simmons, and he was the founder of a hedge fund in the US called Renaissance Technologies, and he's a mathematician, and all of the employees in his hedge fund were mathematicians typically. So they hired PhDs in mathematics, in physics, in all sorts of scientific fields, but they put incredible weight on mathematics. And he had a dream of creating a hedge fund that was 100% automated. There was absolutely zero human intervention, and all the signals, the probabilities, would be quantified using mathematics. And I thought that was beautiful, because if you consider what I just said about fear having a huge impact on whether or not people are going to be taking trades, if you remove human beings and you let computers do everything for you, well, then there's no fear. Computers don't experience fear. They'll see the edge, they'll apply it. They'll see the edge, they'll apply it. Even though there were 10 losses, on the 11th trade is going to take the trade, and that could very likely be the winner. Okay, so this is very interesting to me.